What's been happening at the Sky GODZ Studios? Find out now. I'm actually recording this video from a magic tree circle close to my house. It's an old ancient Celtic circle where I guess they used to do some kind of pagan rituals or something. So it's actually it's quite an amazing place, and especially now where it looks so gloomy outside. We actually did have the biggest storm in 30 years a few days ago, and it looks pretty much devastated, and it's like winter and cloudy, and it looks really gloomy. After my last big video, I thought I was going to be able to give you an update much faster, but it wasn't meant to be. It was the end of the year, plus, a big animation job in November, which pretty much blocked the whole month. So I wasn't really able to shoot any video or like do terribly much. But I've been able to actually work quite a bit on the Sky GODZ project. I've done several dozens of sketches, backgrounds, script notes, and so on and so on. So it's actually progressing really nicely. And actually quite a few things have happened. I have several videos planned, two about the background and storyline of Sky GODZ, and one about alien races. That one's going to be a lot of fun. And I should really talk about this whole disclosure thing that happened in December. If you don't know what I'm talking about the New York Times article that everybody's talking about on YouTube. I mean, just type into YouTube like New York Times UFO disclosure or something like that, and you'll find tons of stuff. So that's really interesting, and we could look a little bit behind the scenes there, because that is not all what it seems. But in this video, I really want to give you sort of like an update, what's been happening and what possibly the new timetable might be. There has been some serious interest. Let me go back to my last video. Initially, the plan was that I was going to be doing all by myself, pretty much with like no money. I mean, the reason about the no money is essentially because I wanted to keep the rights, and I don't want anybody to have control over anything. So of course that's a given. From the moment on where you're going to accept money or you're going to have investors or anything like that, you're just going to have big problems, in most cases. But then all of a sudden, I started to launch the social media stuff. The Instagram thing is going really, really well. People are very enthusiastic and excited about it. I'm actually really getting the hang of it. And then I started to hear from some streaming networks, and it looks like there might be some interest, without naming any names, from streaming networks that might be interested in doing that. And of course, I mean, if there's a possibility that it can be a really big scale type of project, I'm not going to say no. I mean, I'm not insisting on having to do anything by myself. If we can hire a big studio in Japan or wherever, to help out with the work, then I'm not going to say no. But of course, I mean, the condition has to be that it looks like my stuff and it looks like the way I want it to look. Now, what are the possibilities? I mean, there's pretty much like 4 possibilities that sort of crystallized out. The first possibility is a complete buyout. As you probably know, most larger studios, larger companies, they just do complete buyouts. Like if you do a project with Netflix, it's not a project that Netflix just buys the licensing, but Netflix actually buys the project. Well, they will buy the project, lock, stock, and barrel. There will be a one-time fee and possibly like some kind of like a residual fee, in a few percentage range, and you're done. But of course, the fee is going to be very large. So it's not something they're going to give you like 10 grand and then, you're not going to get anything after that. We're talking about, yeah, I don't want to name any numbers, but you can imagine it's going to be pretty big. And of course, then it's up to, let's say Netflix or whoever, I'm just saying Netflix because it just came to my mind, to do what they want to do with it. At the end of the day, that's up to them. Of course, if they decide to have me on, to use all the work I've already done, then, obviously I would love to be involved. But, what's the likelihood of that happening? I don't know, I mean, but it's a possibility. The other possibility is that Netflix, for example, again, I'm saying just Netflix, says like, we want to do it, basically, we're investing in this, but there's going to be some kind of co-share kind of situation. We might not. I mean, that wouldn't really be applicable to Netflix. It will probably be a different company, a smaller streaming service. Let's say we make some kind of a production deal, with virtual graphics, and then you do the entire production, and then I'm gonna be responsible for the production. And but it will be not a large amount of money. It will just be enough to cover production costs, and then anything after that, depending on the success, will have to be seen. The third possibility is that we would take on some additional funding. Virtual graphics as a producer would take some funding basically, and we sort of like piecemeal the rights off ourselves. This is in film lingo called the split right distribution situation. Where you sort of like go out and you start a little piecemealing it off per country, to different services. Especially considering the fact that, for example, China doesn't have Netflix, and Amazon is not really prevalent in China. So China has its own services that do streaming, which are actually much larger than what we have here in terms of viewership. And the fourth possibility is some sort of like, okay, good, we're not doing it with pretty much any outside money, literally on my terms, on my time, and it's going to be what's called a self-distribution situation. I know it sounds kind of like a dirty word, but it actually isn't today. You have really access to a lot of distribution possibilities, like we've talked about in the last video already. You can, for example, upload it on Amazon Direct. Direct. I think it's called Direct Video, and call it an Amazon exclusive. Which would it be? And then you can start charge a fee. You can say, I'm going to sell the whole season for like, $12, or each individual episode for $2 or $3. You can integrate it into the Prime membership, and so on and so on. And then start selling physical DVDs, and use different countries, use different services. You literally have to see how it goes. So those are our four options, basically. Now, I'm going to try for the first option first, and this is going to be relatively quick. There will be a deadline from submission things that I've agreed on by early February. So I'm putting the packages together now. By February, it will be out there. People will be looking at it at the major TV stations, and then we'll see where it's going to take. And so I think by March, I will know a lot more. I might possibly have an announcement, but I will definitely have possibly a lot more insight into where this is going to go. And hopefully, then we'll be able to start with production relatively quickly. If I see that I'm getting too much resistance, I don't need it, I don't want it, I don't need anybody's permission, I can obviously do this myself. So then we'll just go ahead with that. I just want it to happen. That's really what matters. Regarding the comic, also been working on that. I think what's going to happen is that we'll be serializing it on Line Webtoons. For those who don't know what Line Webtoons is, Line Webtoons is an app created by the Line application. It's a Korean company, and it's pretty much been like the biggest de facto webcomic publishing engine. It's got a really big readership, and since my style is gonna go a little bit into the manga anime direction, obviously it will be perfect for that. And I've already actually designed some of the characters, certainly the main character. I will show that to you right now, and I'm also gonna show you after that the main character. I'm gonna show you some other character sketches, so sit back and take a little break. To sum it all up, essentially that's what it's going to look like by the end of January. Submission to all the TV stations, networks, whatever, pretty much everybody that's on my list of producers and whatnot. I'll probably hear back from everybody fairly quickly. I mean, I'll definitely hear back from at least the most important one, which I can't name. They said they were going to get back to me by March. So I think by the end of March, we'll have a pretty good idea like where this is going to go. Meanwhile, I'll be working on a comic. Website will be launched. Comic will probably launch also in the spring. As you well know, I mean, I have other obligations. I mean, I have to make a living somehow. So I'd be working on the William Tell books. I'll be working on, I can announce that, I guess, on a comic for a Chinese game company. Also like in a manga type of style. So there's a lot of variety of things that are really exciting, but so I don't have to worry about that. But meanwhile, every day, working on it, developing characters. Check out, like I said, Instagram if you want to see the latest character sketches and the latest up-to-date things. And I hope next week I'll have the first video of the SKY GODZ story up, as well as the alien races. As I said last time, what I'm going to be doing is I'm gonna create playlists for the UFO people. I'm gonna create a playlist for animation people and comic people, because quite frankly, there's a lot of people who like a project like SKY GODZ, but they don't really care about all the details that's happening in the UFO world, and a lot of the UFO people don't really like the comic stuff. So I'm gonna keep it somewhat separate. I mean, obviously, if you're interested in both, be my guest. You can listen to both. But hopefully the updates will come a little faster. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe. Looking forward to see you again. Bye.